this video, we'll be going through CSS to get you started with building beautiful websites. I'll also be showing you how to create this awesome web page. And be sure to stick around till the end, where I'll be sharing with you tips on how to make cool animations. So stay tuned. Hi, my name is Charles. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss on any of my upcoming videos. Let's get started. So I've just gone ahead and opened my project folder in the code editor. The link to these resources will be linked in the description below. And if you're new to HTML and CSS, I'll urge you first to go and watch my HTML tutorials video, which I'll link in the description below, and then you can come back and watch this. So the first thing I'll show you is how to include CSS in HTML. But first, let's organize our folder. Let's create another folder here for images. Let's just move our images, that folder, move. Then let's change these URLs. Images starting Darkmoon. That's done. Maybe you can save this and let's just open this in our browser. So we have our images down here. So the first way you can link your CSS or include your CSS in your HTML is by using inline styling. The first inline style we are going to learn is, let's say you want to maybe display a background color for this word, the word minimum. So the first thing you do is you add a style attribute. So style, then this is where you put in your properties. Let's say background color, let's set that to aqua. When you save and go back to our page, you can see the background color of the word minimum has changed to aqua. You can even include more than one property. Let's say we want the font size to be 20 pixels. Save. You can see the font size has increased. Maybe let's put that to a higher number. Let's say 60. You can see now the font has become huge. The next thing you can do, the next way we can include our CSS is by using the style tags. So the style tags are included in the head element of our HTML. So just put style there, and the first thing with CSS is that to select the element which you want to style. So for example, I want to select this div. There are a couple of ways I can select that. I can just type in div, then I put in the background color as aqua, maybe the font size, it's font size 60 pixels. Then when you save and go back, you can see all the divs inside our page have been selected, and we've changed the font size and also the background color. But that's not what we want. We just want this first div here with the word minimum. So what you can do is use a class or an ID. First I'll go with a class. What you do is you put in the class, and let's say you want to name this logo. So whenever you type in logo inside your CSS, you'll be referring to this div. But for a class selector, of which this first part is called a selector, then you have the property, then the value. So for class selector, it starts with a period. So period logo will be referring to this class, and you want the background color to be aqua and the font size to be 60 pixels. When you save that and go back, you can see it's only the minimal part which has been affected. Let's say we want to style other divs with the same styles, the background color to be aqua and the font size to be 60 pixels. What you can do is just go back to another div, let's say this one, and add the same class logo. And when I save and go back to my page, you can see both of those divs have the same styling because I've used a class attribute. There's another attribute called the ID. For the ID, like the word suggests, it identifies an element uniquely. So there should only be one ID for each single element you want to select. For example, for the logo, let's change this to ID, and let's remove this, and let's change this to ID. But now for the ID selector, you don't use a period, you use the number sign or the hash. Save, go back, the ID should be logo, not ID. Sorry for that. Save, go back, and you can see that the minimal has been styled with the same. Let's just do an experiment and add an ID to something else and see whether it will work. Let's say we want this to have an ID of logo. Save, go back, it still works. But then when it comes to JavaScript, that won't work because an ID should only be one in a single page. So whenever you want to style multiple elements, use a class attribute, and whenever you want to style a single element, use an ID attribute. But most of the time people just stick to classes unless you want specific stylings for specific element only. So when you include the style attribute, that's called inline CSS, and when you include the style element, that's called the internal CSS. So if we have internal, definitely we have external. So let's just create an external CSS file, create new, then style.css. Obviously it must have the .css extension to show that that's a CSS file. Then let's just take out all these, Ctrl X, paste it here. Let's save this file and let's remove the style attribute. Now obviously now the styles will disappear. Why? Because we haven't linked our CSS to our HTML, and how we do that is by using the link element. And you can see for the link element, it's a self-closing element. Also we have an attribute which is the rel or relationship attribute, which shows that the file you want to link is a style sheet. Then you have the href, and that's where you include the URL. Now this URL is relative, so we'll start with a period, then /, then the CSS, and let's save that. And now these styles of the hashtag of the hash logo will be included. As you can see, that's what has just happened. And now we can, this is called like the separation of concerns, where you have your styles, you have your styles page, and also you have your index page. So let's just go ahead and build out this page. First I'll show you how to link font. So let's just go ahead and go to Google Fonts. Let's just search for Poppins. I misspelled the word Poppins, but let's say Poppins Google Font. Then you select that. Then now you add, there are different font weights, but I'll show you how to add font weights. So like you want 13, maybe you can select 100, of which, okay, we are not going to use that. Let's say you want the regular, select that, then the medium, select that, and maybe the bold. And now these ones are going to be included in a font. Okay, let me show you what I mean. So when you go to embed, there are two ways to link a font. You can use the link tag in your HTML, or you can use the @import rule in your CSS. Let's just use both methods and see how they work. So I can copy this and go back to my HTML and just paste it right there and save. But now this won't have any effect on my page because I haven't specified the font that we are going to use. So I can just go and do body, just go and put it here, body, and say the font, we want the font family to be Poppins, and let's say obviously it's unsafe. Save. And now when you go back, you can see the font has changed to Poppins. That's one way. The second way, now it's using the @import rule. Let's just go and copy that. This one goes into your CSS. Let's put it at the top and save that. Go to your HTML, remove the link which we have pasted there. Let's go back, refresh, and you can see it still applies. And those are the two ways you can include a Google font into your page. The next thing now we'll do is start now building out this page. Let's just go ahead and add classes, because most people use classes. First one, let's add a class here called header. And then you already have the logo. You can have another one called the line. Let's just add a div here. Class line. Then this one has a class of navigation. This one has a class of menu. And what I like to do is just deal with HTML first, then I deal with CSS later. have the menu item. You can just copy this, paste it there and there. And let me just show you a trick. You can, maybe when you want to edit multiple lines or lines of code at the same time, you can click where you want to edit, then hold on Alt, then you click on the next line, and you can see we have now two cursors. Now I can just do space, paste, and it will work. That's just a little trick with Emmet. And then we can have h1 class of primary heading, then the div with a class of contents, the side with a class of side, and span with a class of sideline, and a p tag with a class of site text. Then we have this div, which is our main content, so we'll have a class of content main. And I think that's it. You can have this, have a class of content image, and you save that. Obviously there will be no changes to our HTML, but let's just go to our CSS and start styling this page. The first thing I'll want to do is remove any margins from my body, and how you do that is using the margin property. Margin 0. Save that and go back, and as you can see there are no margins here. Maybe I can show you. Let's just inspect that, and here click on the body, and then you can toggle the margin. You can see the margin appearing and then disappearing. That's what we are removing. Also, we don't want the page to overflow, to have this scroll bar. You can see the page is kind of overflowing because of the images, which are too large, but we'll take care of that later. So we don't want this page to overflow in the X direction, but we want it to like scroll downwards. And to do that, what you do is you specify an overflow property. So we have overflow hidden. So whatever overflows from our page will be hidden. But then you see we aren't seeing our image because that element affects both the X and the Y direction. What you don't want to overflow is the X direction, so we do overflow X hidden, then overflow Y, we want it to be auto. When you save that, go back to your page, you can see you can scroll downwards, but there is no scroll bar down here to scroll sideways. Then another thing we want to style is our page. We need to add a div. Actually it's there. Let's just put a class of page. Now in this div is where we are going to put our padding and our transition, and I'll explain what padding is. So let's just go to our CSS and do dot page and put a padding of 25 pixels and 60 pixels. Save that, and you can see our page has kind of moved inwards a bit, and also from the top there is some space. Let me just show you what padding is. Let's just inspect this, and you have the page. You can see the green color on the side, on the sides of the page, and that's the padding. Let's just click on this computed tab. So the padding, it's this space here, and it's the space between your content and your border. So the space between the content and your border is the padding, and then after the padding is your border, which we don't have in this case. Okay, it's there, but you can't see it. And also after the padding you have the margin. Now this is the space between one element and another, so you can specify a margin for an element, like the one for the body which you removed, and you set it to 0 so that the body doesn't have any margin. And also for the padding, there are a couple of ways to write padding. For this is a shorthand, but the same padding for this, you can write it as padding, then start with top. For the top you want 25 pixels, then you go padding right, it goes clockwise, so padding right. Then for the padding right you want 60 pixels. For the padding bottom, padding bottom, you want 25 pixels, and for the padding right, no, it's left, padding left, you want it to be 60 pixels. Only just comment this, which is just hit on control slash, or you can just type the asterisk slash on this other side, the slash asterisk. Save that, go back. You can see it still applies because we've specified each one of them, but to avoid much typing you just use this. And what this does, it starts with top and bottom, left and right. So for the top and bottom is 25 pixels, for the left and right 60 pixels, and this applies to the margin too. So let's just comment this and be left with that. Another shorthand property, still for padding, you can specify 3 values. Let's say padding. The first one we start with is the top, so for the top is 25 pixels. Then for the left and right 60 pixels. And then for the bottom, in this case we want 25 pixels. Let's just comment this, and this will apply too. You can see the styles are still applying. So, and this applies to margin too, so when you see me writing that, now you know. Another thing you want to style is the line, and maybe we can just comment out first. This is the header, I guess, so you can just do that. I like commenting this so you know where your stuff is. Then you can do a header there. So our line, we want to form a white line. Okay, I already closed the other page, but let's just see. The line, we want to display it inline block, and I'll show you what that means in a bit. Inline block, Also want the height of it to be 3 pixels. We want the width of it to be 500 pixels, and we also want the background of it, the background color, to be black. Now there are a couple of ways you can write black. You can use black like that, which is the word black, or you can use the hexadecimal, which is hash 3 zeros, and this uses like the RGB. So the red is 0, that means there is no red. Then the blue, no, the G for green is 0, and then the blue is still 0, so there are no colors. So 0 is basically absence of the 3 colors. Or you can still use 6 of them, still the same. 6. Or you can use the RGB, so 0 0 0. Still it's let's remove the number sign, so it's 3 zeros. Or still you can use the RGBA for 0 0 0, and then the A, which specifies like I think the opacity or something. I can't remember what A stands for, but you can specify like 0.0 or like a 0.1 or something. And what this will do is that it will form this faint gray line, but we don't want that. We want a dark one, so you put a 1, and that will be total black. And maybe you can remove this color. Let's just go and remove the font size and that, and let's put the display to inline block, and also the padding to, let's say, 14 pixels on the top and bottom, and 20 pixels on the left and right. Save that, and there we have it, and there we have the line. So the display inline block, let me just show you what that means. As you can see, the logo is just taking up the amount of space which it requires. If we go and disable that, you can see now it takes the full width of the screen, but when you enable that, it just takes the space the minimal requires, and that way we are able to stack things side by side without using some other things like floating. And we can also style this because it's an inline block. Anything that's block, it has paddings and margins and borders, so you can easily style it. But if you were to display it as inline, let's say display inline only, you could see that some of the styles won't apply. Why? Because you can see like the home, it's kinda interfering with the margin of the minimal, because the margin or rather the padding, it's not taking effect because it's just inline, it's not a block. But now when you return it to inline block, the margin and also the padding is taking effect. Then now we can style the another list, which is our navigation. So for the navigation, we want to style it also, we want to display it as inline block also, and that will make it come to the side like that. I want it to like become a menu here, so we need also to style these ones as inline block, and also remove these bullet points. So what we can do is we want the menu, which is the unordered list here. So we have the navigation, which is like the parent of the unordered list. There should be an L there. So the menu is the unordered list. So we want to remove the bullet points, and how you remove those ones, it's list style, list, the list style to none. What that will do is remove the bullet points. Then we can go ahead and display the menu items, if that's what they're called. Yeah, the menu item. And since we want to style all of them the same, we want to give all of them the same styles, we can give them we can style the same class. So display of inline block. Also want to give them a padding of 14 pixels top and bottom, and also 20 pixels left and right. And you can see now we have a nice looking menu, although it's not clickable. Let me just show you how to add to make them links. Just wrap them with anchor tags. Let's just do this. Control X, Control V. Then maybe you can specify where you want this URL to go. You can see now it has become an anchor tag, but I'll just go and remove that. But in your free time you can maybe link the menu items to something. And also maybe we can put this pointer, because let me just remove that. But then I want, when I point here, the cursor changes to a pointer. So what I can do is, for the menu item, I can do cursor to pointer. Save that. And you see when I hover over them, the cursor changes to a pointer. And then the next thing I'd want to style is the main content, and we'll start with the primary heading. Let me just close that. Let's just go here and do, let's copy this, copy, paste. Let's do main content. So the first thing is the primary heading. Primary heading. The way we want to style that is have a margin of, I want 0 pixels on the top, 0 pixels on the right side, then 10 pixels on the bottom side, and 14 pixels on the left side. And then I want the font size to be 60 pixels, a very big font, and also on the font weight to be 700. And what that will do will make it a bit bold. Don't know how it's not applying. But then the class, it's primary heading. Just copy that, paste it in here. Okay, it's primary. I need a dash there. Save, come back here, and now it should work. As you can see, now we have this huge font. So the next thing we want is a side. Now for the side we want a line, and also we want this text to like flow downwards. So we are going to use floats in this case. So we'll start with dot side. We want it to float left. When you save that, you can see now it's on the left side, and all these other text, it's kind of like flows to the side of it, to the right side of it. Also we want now to style the side line, but also we want this side to take about 10% of the width of our screen. So how we can do that is giving it a width of 10 viewport width. What this means, it will only take 10. It's like dividing your screen into 100 parts, then only saying like only 10 parts will be the size of that side, of that which obviously we've called it side. So you can see this text has kind of like been pushed away a bit. Then maybe we can style the side line, the line which kind of drops from here. So side line, and we can display that as a block. Display as a block, and also let's give it a width of 100, not 100 but 3 pixels. So a height of 230 pixels. Also a background color of black. Let me just use the word black, and also a margin left of 40 pixels, and a margin top of, let's say, 30 pixels. Then I think that's it. So you see we have this kind of thin line flowing from from top to bottom. And the next thing, we want this text to kind of flow like the line going downwards. And what we call that is that give it a class of side text, I guess. Exactly, side text. So let's just style that dot side text, and to make it flow downwards we give it a writing mode of vertical right left, and then we give it okay, what that will do, will kind of rotate the text in a downward manner, but then we want the letters to be like, let's say this L to be like this other L for Lauren. So what we do is give it another property of text orientation to be upright, and then you can see now the text itself, it's upright but it's flowing downwards. Also we want to give it a margin, so let's give it a margin of left 27 pixels, and a margin top margin top of 20 pixels. Save that, go back. You can see now it's kind of moved to the right a bit, and also it's kind of looks cool. So the next thing we are going to style is this main content. So all this, it's in one div called the main content. Maybe I can just show you in the HTML. So here we have this section, this other section where you have h2 and then a p. So let's style this content main dot content main, and we want to give it a float also of left, and also we want a width of 55 viewport width, and also I think that's it for now. You can see that's kind of moved to the left, and also it's kind of well centered. And then we have the image. We have this image which you can see here, and also we have another white one which you can't see, but I'll show you the purpose of that when you come to animation. What you want to do is style the content image. So we do dot content image, and we want to style that with a float of left still. You might be asking why we are floating everything to left. It's because we want to stack them side by side. That's why we are floating everything to left. But then these images, they haven't come here, and that's because they are too wide for this page. Actually, they're overflowing. So what we can do is give them a width. So dot content image, then we select the img. What this means is the content image, then you select a descendant called the image, which is a image element, because we haven't used a number sign or a period in front of it, and you want that to have a width of 100%. What this means, it will take 100% of the content image div, and it won't overflow. And when you save that, you can see the image has kind of become smaller, but still it can't fit here. So to enable it fit here, we must reduce the size of the content image, the div, which you gave it a class of content image. We reduce the width of it to be able to fit here, and how we can do that is by just giving it I actually did calculations for this, so it's basic math. A width of 24 viewport width. When you save that, you can see it has reduced in size, but it hasn't yet come here, and that's what we want. And I think I know where the problem is. Let's just go back to our HTML. I think this div should not be here, should be outside. Save that, go back to your HTML, and you can see that now it's working. But then we want this image to move a little bit down. So what we do is we add a margin. Supposed to be a margin top, to 80 pixels. And you can see now the image has moved down a bit. Then the next thing is making the web page responsive, and how we do that is by using something we call media queries, and this is how we write media queries. So at media only screen and the maximum width and then we write our CSS here. What the maximum width means is that for any device that it's 1200 pixels and below, these styles we define here will apply. So for example, the line, I want the line to have a width of 300 pixels, with 300 pixels wide, and then the content main to have a width of 45 viewport width. Maybe you can just have a look at that. So let's just resize this. So you can see at around 1200 the size of the content main reduces. Yeah. Then the next, maybe media query, maybe you can put it at 900. Screen. Let me just copy this. Paste maximum width at 900 pixels. And 900 pixels, we want the line to have a width of 100 pixels, and also the content page, content image, you want it to display none. You don't want the images to display. And also you want the page itself, dot page, to have a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom, and 30 pixels left and right. And also the content main, or the main content, to have a width of 70 viewport width and a padding left of 20 pixels. When you save that, and when we resize the browser at 900, the image disappears, and you can see also the main content, it's shrinking. That's nice. So maybe the next thing we can do at 600, we can maybe elongate this line. Yeah, and also maybe this line should extend to the whole screen, and the minimal should text a line to center. And let's just do that. So another media query here at, let's say, 650. At 650. At 650, we want the line to be 100%. So width to be 100%, and also to have a margin of 20 pixels. The next thing we want to style is the logo, which is the minimal word. We want it to display as block and also to text align. The text will align at the center. Then we have the menu. We want it to have 0 padding to 0. I also want to display it as inline block. Then the sideline, I want to increase the height. So let's give it a height of 300 pixel. Let's just save that and go and resize our browser. You can see now as we scroll, the line elongates at 650. Yeah, but then this text here is not text aligning, and I think I know why. It's because we used the ID logo instead of. Let's just change this to class, and also here in our logo we change to class dot, and when we save that, it should now work exactly, and there we have it. So the next thing we'll do is animations, and when you're using animations, we use the animation attribute, and I'll show you, not attribute but rather property, and I'll show you how to make animations and what to do. We use at keyframes. So at keyframes, then we want a fade in right, then we want to say from, specify we want first the opacity to be 0, and also the transform, we want to translate it on the X axis by 15 pixels. Then you want to set the opacity to 1, and also the transform back to 0. And now how we can apply this animation is that you go to the element which you want to apply it. Let's say you want to apply it to the logo because it's the first thing. Use the animation property, then you want the animation to be fade in right, and then you want the ease as the animation function. Maybe I can write this as the animation timing function, let's say ease, and let's put animation duration to 0.4 seconds, 0.4 seconds, and also the animation fill mode to be forwards. And let's just comment this so that I will show you how the forwards applies. So when we reload, you can see the minimal. The next thing we want is that we want this to kind of like grow from the left side to the right side, but have a delay, so that the minimal first fades in and then the line grows, and then the navigation fades in. So to do that, first we define a keyframe. So at keyframes, let's call this grow left, and let's say from, I want to transform, I want to scale this on the x direction, the x-axis, from 0 and to transform scale, it's supposed to be x, to 1, and save that. Now we can apply that animation to our line. We want the animation to be grow left, and then the animation timing function to be a cubic Bezier. Maybe let me just grab that. Then we want this animation to delay, so animation delay with a 4.4 seconds delay, and also animation duration, let's put a 4.4 seconds also. So let's reload, and you can see it's animating, but it's starting from the center. Now we want the origin to be from the left, and what we can do is define a property called transform origin to be from the left. When we reload, we can see now that the animation is taking effect, and this one has a delay. And then what we want after this one finishes, this one starts. And maybe I can show you a shorthand for animation. Let's just comment this. So you say animation and say fade in right. That's the animation. Then the animation timing function, which is the is 0.4 seconds, then forwards, and you save that. Still applies the same. Yeah, maybe let's do that for the line also. So let's comment this. Say animation fading. No, it's animation grow left. Then the cubic Bezier function. .4 seconds. And let's just put an animation delay. Animation delay of 0.4 seconds, and save that. But here we need an animation duration of 0.5 seconds. And also let's put the fill mode as forwards. We commented up to here, so let's uncomment that. That should apply. Then the next thing is fading in the navigation. So let's do it on the menu, and let's say you want the animation to be fading right. Is 0.4 seconds forwards. Save that. Let's see. We need to put an animation delay of 0.8 seconds. Let's reload. But now you see, like, when the animation is starting, this is already there. So what we can do is put the opacity to 0 at first. So opacity to 0. We can reload now. You can see now the animation is taking part, but then also the line, the same thing. Not the opacity but the transform and the scale to 0, since that's what we are animating here. So reload, you can see it's a nice smooth animation. The other thing we want to animate is the with trends. It's supposed to be web trends. Let's just change that to web trends. Yeah. So the next thing we want to animate is the web trends. So let's just go and define a keyframe. Keyframe in this case is fading bottom at keyframes fade in bottom, and what you want to do is want to animate the opacity to 0 and also the transform to translate. I want to translate it on the y-axis 15 pixels, and to opacity, let's put this to 1, and also the transform y, translate the y-axis to 0. Yeah. And then we want the primary heading to fade in from bottom. Is it there? So the animation and fade in bottom is 1 second forwards, and also you want the opacity to be 0 at first. Save. You can see now the way it's animating. And let's just go and animate the whole thing, and then we'll come back. Another animation we want to do is scroll bottom. At keyframes scroll bottom, then from, and this is for the sideline. Then you want to transform the scale in the y-axis from 0 and to transform scale the y-axis to 1. Save. Then go to the sideline. You want the animation to be grow bottom. Keep it busier. Let me just grab that. You can use the one which we had used earlier. Yes, it's here. Paste. The duration is 0.5 seconds, and then forwards. And also we want an animation delay. Of 0.4 seconds. Let's see how that's coming about. Then the transform origin should be bottom. Transform origin should be bottom. Save that. Reload. You can see the animation is taking effect. Also want to animate the image and also this text over here. So let's go do that. So for the image, it's animating its parent element. Here is the content image. So animation fade in bottom is 0.4 seconds. Forwards, also an animation delay of 0.8 seconds, and also the position to be relative. Okay, we'll come back to that later. Let me just delete that. Save, and then you reload. But now we need to first set the opacity to 0. So opacity should be 0 first before we animate it. Yeah, like that. The next thing is animating the sections, rather the content main. So let's go back to content main. First set the opacity to 0. Opacity to 0. Then we say animation to be fading bottom. Fading bottom is 0.4 seconds forwards. Then the animation delay is 0.4 seconds. Let's see how that comes to effect. You can see the way it's animating. That's so cool. Then the next thing now we are going to do is implement the dark mode and the light mode. So let's go back to our HTML. We are going to add an input tag. For the input tag, we are going to have checkbox. So type is checkbox, and there is no need for the name. Then the class should be mode checkbox, and then the ID should be mode toggle. And have a label. The label for mode toggle, and the class should be mode icon. Then inside here we'll be having two images. The first image is the one for the moon, and let's say alt, let's just call it icon, and also let's give it a class of moon icon. Let's just copy this. Second image will be the sun, and also have a class of sun icon. Save that, go back, and now you have it. You can't see the sun because it's white, but then when you click on the moon you can see that it's being checked because we've used the label here. We've said the ID is mode toggle, and for the label, the for attribute is also mode toggle. So whenever we click on the attribute, the checkbox will check and uncheck, and that will help us to use the checked pseudo class. Let me just show you that. So what we'll do here is go to our CSS, and down here we want the dot mode checkbox. When it's checked, it's called a pseudo class. So when the mode checkbox is checked, we want to select the page, and what this means, it's a general sibling selector. Since the page is a sibling selector of the mode checkbox, you can select it and set the color to white. And you can see all the text is turning to white apart from the lines. Now for the lines, now let's just first set the background to black, and now you can see the background black has applied only to this part, and that's because we floated all these elements, and so they were displaced from the page. What you can do, maybe you can just inspect this, and it's the content. You can see the content has a height of 0. So what you can do is clear all. So we can come here, set the content. So let's just do dot content, and we add an after pseudo element, and you can say the content is that display block, and clear both, and that should work just fine. And you can see already our whole page is black, and the text is white, but you can see the image here, but you can't see the lines. So to select the lines, what we want to do is come here, and let's say the dot mode checked, and select the page, and then we want to select the head, which is a child of page, the header I mean. Then we select the line, and we want to give it a background color of white. It's background color of white. Save that, and it should work. We also want to give the same styling to this other line here, to the side line. So what we can do is put a comma here. Let's just select this to page, then for the page we will select the main, then we will select the content, then the aside, then the aside line. Save that. Don't know why it's not working. So it's the page, the main, the content, the side. It's the side, not the aside, then the side line. Oops. Still not working. The side line. Save, and now it's working. So now you can toggle, but then you don't want the black to just appear and disappear. What we want is to put in transitions. So for the page, yeah, transition, and let's just say all, let's just say 0.5 seconds is, and also for the line, let's just copy the line, for the line, and also the side line. Save that, reload, and you can see it's kind of fading. Let's first go add classes to images. So class bg img black, and let's change this one to white. Control save. Then let's come here in our content image. Let's position this as relative so that we can position our images as absolute. Save that, go back, and you can see it's like we have two images. Don't know whether you can see that, but what we are going to do is set the black image on top of the white image. And how we are going to do that is by using the z index. So the dot bg img black, we're going to set the z index to 1000. Let's save that, and you can see the black one is what is being seen. But when you change to dark mode, you want the white one to appear. What you can do whenever this one is checked, you change the opacity of the black image. And how we do that is go back where we have our mode checked. So that is checked. You want to select the page, then the main, inside the main we want to select the content, then content image, then you select the background which is black, and then you select the opacity to be 0, and let's see. So whenever we check that, the one with the black image disappears, and then the white one appears. So let's set the transition property, I mean. So let's transition the opacity 0.5 seconds is, save that. Now you can see it's a smooth transition. Now you can remove this from here and set it somewhere here. So how we do that is, come here, the dot mode checkbox, you want to display it as none, and now the checkbox had disappeared. It's now just the moon which is appearing. Now for the moon, we want .moon icon, position it absolute, and then the z index to be 2 so that it can be on top of the sun, and also the transition, the opacity 0.5 seconds is in out. Save that, and let's also define the CSS for the sun icon. For the sun icon, we want the position to be absolute and the z index to be just 1. Whenever we click on the sun icon, we want the moon icon to disappear. So what you can do is .mode checked. This is the adjacent sibling selector. So mode icon and dot moon icon. Set the opacity to 0, and then when the mode checkbox is not checked, like that, we want the .mode icon. Now we want the sun icon to have an opacity of 0. And you can see now the moon disappearing, and then the sun disappearing, and then the moon. But we want the moon to come here, and we also don't want this white space down here. So what you can do is just go and set the page to a minimum height of 100 viewport heights. And also we want to position the mode icon. Let's just put here dot mode icon. I want to position it absolute, then 30 pixels from the right, then 30 pixels from the top, and then the cursor to be pointer, the send index to be about index to be about 3000, and the padding top to be 4 pixels, and the padding right to be 3 pixels. Save that, go back to HTML, reload, and you can see it's here, but I think we will want it to be here, so let's just add the right space. So let's do 100 pixels, save, and it's moved and it's working perfectly. Maybe we can just add some margin here, so we can go to down here, and let's just comment this. Let me just copy this. Here it's main content, copy this, come down here, paste it. This is media queries, and go down here, this is animation keyframes. Can just add a margin bottom of 50 pixels, save, go back, reload, and there you have it, a well animated site with dark mode and light mode. It's been a long tutorial, but I hope you've gained much from it, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks. Subscribe. Bye.